right. So it looks like we have, I'm going to go back to gallery view here. Looks like we have a quorum on the board. I see Lee, Joe, Steve, and Christine, although they're not sitting in front of their computers right now, and Jeannie and Sandy and Kathy. All right. So yeah, that's definitely a quorum. So let's see here. It is 12:59. I'll wait for Christina to come back to the screen. There she is. All right. So I'll call this meeting the DGT board to order here for June 13th, 2022. Our first item on the agenda is approval of the last minutes. Did anybody have a chance to review that? And would anybody like to move to approve those minutes?
Move to approve.
Second.
And we have a second from Joe Danishevsky. And anyone opposed, or is that put anonymous? I mean,
You don't even need that.
unanimous. There we go. All right, without objection, so moved. So my president's report is going to be pretty short because I'm not actually the president. I'm the first vice chair. So I can give you a little bit of rundown of what I'm aware of. There may be plans that Larry has coming up that he's not here to address. But the John C. Scott radio promotion is ending on June 25th. I've been filling in those spots for President Bodine for the last 2 weeks, I think, and we'll be doing so for the next 2 weeks. I included a chart of our traffic, and it certainly seems to me that we have leveled off in terms of gaining additional viewership on the website. But it remains at a much higher level than it was before we started doing the promotion. So I would certainly be in favor of continuing the promotion at another time, or just even right now. But it's a matter for the board to decide whether or not we want to end it on June 25th, which is what we've paid up to, or recommence at a later time. So that would be something that we can discuss. If you guys want to discuss that today, we can do that in new business. And then I wanted to address some new roles. I asked Christina to step up and help out with running of the salon, since I had to get something off my plate, and the salon seemed like something that it would be an interesting and creative endeavor for whoever wanted to get involved with that. And so I asked Christina to step up, and she did so. And so I would like to hear, as part of the secretary's report, what the plans are for happy hours salons going forward. That's about all I have, except under new business. I have noted that we made about $1,000 profit on the Figliuzzi fundraiser. But the secretary can, speak to that directly, but we need to decide, how we're going to use that money. We don't have to do it today, but we can. So that's why it's on the agenda. And that's all I got. Anything from our treasurer, Steve?
All right, my turn.
Yep.
Okay. Okay. I'll give it to you. Okay. I'll start with the balances. In the checking account, $4,253.16. Savings, $860.67. Total, $5,118.83. Now, expenses since the last meeting. We had a Zoom expense for $123. We had our monthly webmaster expense to Jean Pagano for $100. We had a mail trip expense, $124.43. Then we had a hosting expense, and I assume this is must be a yearly expense for having our website for $521.
Yeah, that's annual.
Yeah, and then we had a small Zoom expense of $7, and then we had the John C. Scott, probably the last payment, the last one we've had so far, for $300, and then the June payment for Jeannie Pagano for $100. And I know I owe Mike money.
Yeah, I sent you the event.
Right, and I figure, are you going to be there Wednesday?
Yeah, I will.
Now, do I Is it 2 months or one?
Just one that I'm aware of, I think.
Okay, so I'll give you that check on, I'll pay you on Wednesday when I see you. As far as depositing dues and various monies, I've made one deposit of $377.12, another of $457.80. And we received, because it's now from Pima, 58 cents in interest.
Yay!
So we have, so that was a total of $835.50. Now, those two payments, deposits are really, they are dues, but also within that were some people who paid for the event because they paid by personal check, and so that's all kind of gets mixed up together.
All right.
Now, what's outstanding is we sent the $1,000 check to Frank, and he's such a busy guy. He was running around, and we weren't even sure because the addresses we thought were incorrect. But thankfully, and I'm so happy that Christina did make a call and found out that, and he said yes, that went to his son's house, and he does have the check. He hasn't cashed it yet. But also outstanding is the fact we haven't got the money yet from the event. I mean, that's a whole other story.
Wow.
Speak
Larry's
to
been
that.
working on it.
I'll speak to
I
that.
I worked on it. I re-entered all the banking information. Again, nothing's happening. I don't get them, and they don't respond. I don't know what's wrong with them.
This is Eventbrite you're talking about?
What?
This is Eventbrite that you're
Yeah.
talking about?
Yeah, they just don't, we haven't been, that money's just still sitting with them. And as far as the profit, it's different ways of looking at it, because yeah, it was about 1,900, I believe, and it cost, and we paid him 1,000. But out of that 900, you have to consider we paid $500 for the mailing list. Now, some people say, yeah, well, now we own it. But if we don't really use it that much, that's still $500 that went for that mailing list.
Yep.
So so I think the event was successful in that we had loads of people that came, loads of people that attended and were interested in. But as far as a mass, a fundraiser, it comes to about $400 or $500 really net.
Modest result, but useful.
Oh, absolutely. And the fact that we had so many people interested is even better.
Yeah.
And Christina, I will, if you want, I'll send this information to you in some logical form, so you can add it to the minutes, if that's okay.
Okay,
Had your hand up?
yes, so I just wanted to put my few cents in about about not receiving the funds from Eventbrite.
Yeah.
So I've started a whole nother chat with them.
Okay.
And I think, and what I've asked them is to find out if they can just mail us a check. For whatever reason, they're having issues with Pima accepting the deposit or whatever that is. And so I think that we will just get Eventbrite to send us a certified check.
And will they send it to our post office box?
That's what I'm going to ask them. Yes, they.
Okay, all right, I'll be looking for it.
Right. And I don't know, I'll let you know when I get the final word from them, because I've been in a chat with them and they're checking their information and they're supposed to be emailing me back. That's why I asked you this morning if you had emailed that email address that Larry.
I tried, and then I couldn't get a response. I re-entered. I gave them the correct banking information. I don't know what else they need. I don't get it.
Yeah, I don't either. I didn't have this issue before. So so it is really disheartening that something that went off so well, wound up not paying us right away as right. We had hoped. And then I would just like to say also about the $500 that we paid to the for that mailing list. Larry's already used that email list to send out for the salon that we had that was going to be on the 9th, and now it's on the 23rd. And after Larry sent that the email out with those other email addresses, we picked up about 10 people the next day.
Great.
That registered. So, I think I think it is an investment, and I think that we will continue to use that mailing list to our advantage. And I think in the long run, we'll see that it wasn't necessarily an expense; it was more of an investment, and the fundraiser gave us more money than if you take that money out.
Yeah, I think there's a lot of things that we can do with that mailing list. We do a lot of stuff. We'll make a lot of presentations that are of statewide interest. So yeah, we'll certainly be doing that in the future.
Right.
Do you want to have a membership report at this point?
I forgot that Susie is actually in the beach somewhere. I'm not sure where but she's on vacation with her family after one of her nephews graduated this spring. And so I checked the roster, and a little drum roll, please. 194 members
Excellent.
we have right now, and it's not even the half of the year. It's not gone. So so this is really awesome. And I think a lot has to do with Susie's work. She's emailing people that come to the Monday salon, the Monday speaker forums, but aren't members, and she's getting that information, cross-referencing, and then sending them all emails.
That's our richest target. Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, so we're really, really grateful for Susie. If she can hear us right now, maybe her ears are burning.
All right, do you want to move on to our secretary's report?
Sure. So, well, we already talked about the fundraiser. So, so once again, that money will be getting there. When it comes to the salon, Mike did ask me if I could take on the salons for a couple of months, the way it was said to me. And so
You might get a taste for it. Who knows?
Right. So I enlisted Susie and Joe to help with that. I do have a busy schedule myself, and Susie did an excellent job of trying to get more people to join us on the salon for the women's rights and how the ERA affects that. And people just kept bailing on us. We would get, people. Victoria Steele was going to be with us, and she decided she needed some time off after after her changing and going for the Justice of the Peace and what all that entailed. Susie said she sent out a few more feelers, so maybe for that June 23rd, we may have a panel of folks instead of just Diane Post. And then Joe and I talked about July 7th, and Joe, for the life of me, I cannot find my notes of what we decided we were going to do, which isn't very good, because we need to be reaching out to people. But we were going to go toward gun rights, I believe.
Yes.
Seems like a very topical, very timely topic. Yeah.
Right. And so Joe and I'll probably try to hook up this week and get started on that. And then when it comes to August, Susie had
Gabby Giffords.
Exactly. I think that's what Joe was saying, that maybe we could see if she could Zoom in with us. And then for August, Susie reached out, and we have a partial commitment from the Pima County on Aging, that they would be interested in hosting a salon with us for August. And then when it comes into September, I'm probably going to need to pass that baton off to another board member that would like to do that, unless you want to take it back, Mike.
I'm open to others trying their hands at it. I mean, at some point, maybe I'll have time to take it back, but probably not until after the general election.
Okay. So then, and then happy hours are just rolling along. We had like 35 people last month. We have 15 people right now signed up. I'm looking to see if Karen Gleason, she talked to me last time and said she'd be willing to help. And I'm going to talk with her this week and see if she might be interested in taking on some of that I do for the happy hour, just getting the word out and setting up the Eventbrite and things like that.
Right.
And so
Routinize the tasks and spread them out. That's that's how you get things done. Absolutely.
yeah, and if people and she said she wanted to get involved and wanted to help us, and I thought this might be a good way. She's a nice lady, so I'm hoping she'll help me take on that task.
Great news. All right. Looks like we're up for the program report. I guess that's me again. So we have, I went through the scheduled ones thus far. I'm thinking probably the last one before the primary election will be LD 18 incumbent Chris Mathis. I haven't actually confirmed that with him yet, but that we were having some preliminary discussions, and it seems that he's going to be available for that. So we'll probably do that one to sort of close out the LD 18 string of candidates. And then the primary happens. And so we need to decide what to do, what focus to have post-primary. My immediate and obvious choice is to focus on having as many statewide general election candidates as possible, and as many of the local general election candidates as possible for state house and what other state senate and whatever other offices are up in November. But I'm certainly open to suggestions about other directions, other priorities post-primary. Does anybody have anything that they want to put in on that?
Yeah, I can add that the two state Senate candidates, Reginald Bowling and Andre, they were at the Pima County Democratic reception.
Yeah.
About coming up on a week and a half.
Yeah, I was there.
And they were both really, really on fire. They were so passionate. They were respectful to each other. I wonder if we couldn't experiment with that format, either at a salon or our weekly meeting, where we bring in, a couple candidates for the primary.
Yeah, we could. I mean, the time is the biggest
yes
that I would have, is that we'd probably go longer than an hour, I think, with a more of a forum or debate kind of format and two presenters as opposed to one. But yeah, that's something I'd be open to in the future. We don't have any really time left pre-primary here to do that. But yeah, that's something we can consider in the future.
Something to think about. Yeah.
Yeah. Lee, you had something?
Yeah, I totally agree with Joe, and I like it when we have more than one speaker at a meeting, at our noon meeting at least, which is the one I can mainly catch, because we have the time.
Yeah.
And I think it gives a good comparison of the two or more candidates running, and I would really like to see that happen if we can.
Yeah, well, we did a little bit of that with candidates who were running as a slate as opposed to running opposed to each other. I thought that would be a better fit for the format. But yeah, I'm certainly open to having more of a
if you have a slate, though, one is good enough, because they're running as a slate and they're going to say the same thing. They're not going to get
probably,
up and
but
contradict.
yeah. I mean, you want to meet them. That was the whole point, was to meet them, to know who they are, to associate a name with a face, to get an idea of their personality.
Yeah, and I want to hear what they're going to say, because like some races we can only vote for one. Fortunately, in the LD 18 House, we can vote for two, which I thought that was a lovely question that person asked and you answered, because it's very confusing to people that, a Senate, you get one vote, House, you get two. And may I say something? I don't know how popular this would be, but I saw they're taking um, applications for candidates of school districts. And school districts are supposed to be nonpartisan.
Mhm.
And I would, if, I would love to not have DGT in that camp, if we can avoid it.
You mean not have school board candidates? or-
Yes, I'm not, just say, well, these are the Democratic school board candidates, which technically they aren't. And I'd like to see maybe if we do this, and I don't know if you're aiming toward this or exactly, I don't know what you're thinking on this, and probably it's not till next year. But I would like to see a little bit of a conservatism or a little bit of, let's not get in this race and back people because it does get a little messy. I know the candidates do that, but I'd like to see us either have all the candidates, at least invite them and they decide not to come,
Mhm.
which is certainly their prerogative, or let them fight it out on their own or some, or have a, that might be an interesting thing for a salon to have all the school board candidates there.
Going away.
So anyhow, it's my thought. And I've thought about this a long
Yeah.
time, believe me.
Yeah, yeah. No, thanks for that, Lee.
Yeah,
Did Sandy, did you have your, is that the clap, is that your hand up or is that a?
Yes, my hand, oh, did I put the, okay, 'cause I was doing it without looking closely, yeah, a couple things. Wait a minute, where did you go? All of a sudden you've disappeared.
No, she's still there.
No, I mean, everybody has disappeared on my,
I think you hit the, when you, your hand,
Well, we
Oh,
can
we're-
still
we're
see
still
you.
here.
Don't worry about
well,
it.
okay, no, I can't see anybody, but in terms of having Bolden and
Fontes.
Bolding and Fontes?
Fontes, you have to have them together before the primary, because after that, only one of them is going to be running.
Yeah.
But to have something after that with both of them would not make a whole lot of sense.
Unless you wanted to do like a unity thing where, one endorses the other,
Well, I don't know if they're going to do that.
I think they are.
maybe.
They were,
Interestingly enough, yesterday I was sitting here reading about 3 o'clock in the afternoon. My doorbell rings, and here is in the 106-degree temperature a young man who was canvassing for Bolton in my neighborhood. I felt so bad for him because it was so hot out. But anyway, with the school board thing, what's been done in the past is the only school board candidates we've ever had, running, and we've done this as a group, has been the TUSD. And what I did 2 years ago was I sent out invitations to everybody that was running. All but one of them responded, and we happen to know the one that didn't respond is a Republican, but he did not respond. So we had, I think, 6 of them, or 7 of them, whatever it was, gave them each 10 minutes to talk. But we didn't identify them as Republican or Democrat. We just said this was the candidate, and they had done that in the past, which is why I did it that way. So if you want to do something about that, between the primary and the general, that's when they would run. And I saw that same article today about that they're just opening it up, though some of them have already declared. And a lot of them that are declared already are those that are incumbents and running again on the various boards. And it looks like only 2 of the TUSD positions are open. One is Adelitas, and one is another woman.
Counts.
Yeah, counts. So there's only really 2 of them running. So having them all would be, the others aren't running. So
No, it would only be the current candidates is what I was thinking.
All right, Christina,
Anyway.
you had your hand up earlier. Did you want to say something about this? All right. So I will take that all into account. I have not yet scheduled any post-primary meetings, but I'm thinking that, Unless you guys have other ideas, obviously I'm going to focus on the most interesting races in the general election and the biggest races in the general election that I possibly can get appearances for, and then work down from there. Moving on to post-election goals. Once the general election in November is over, the question is, what role do we take in educating the public about candidates and issues with our noon meetings? And I'm totally open to suggestions for that, because I haven't been in this position before, doing programming, not in advance of a election contest. So, I'd like to hear your guys' ideas.
Well,
Well, I was just gonna ask, did you say before the general or after the general?
After.
After.
Yeah, because I've been programming, basically races, the candidates for races, and once the general election's over, we're no longer looking forward to an immediate race. So the question is, what do we do with our time? Christina?
Okay, thanks. So what I was going to say before, I realized it wasn't, it was more for post. But maybe after the election, maybe we could have somebody like from the Women's League of Voters that could go over who won what races and just kind of lay it all out for us, because it's
recap.
Right. Yeah, just recap it for us. Maybe something like that. Because it's confusing right now, just knowing who's running before the primary, and then as we go further.
Maybe a
the
preview
general.
with some journalists and some voting observers to give us an idea, who won and what we can look forward to when they take office, kind of thing.
Maybe Tim Steller again.
Yeah, that'd be great.
Oh, yeah, Tim Steller's always good.
Mhm.
Tony Davis.
What
Who?
was that?
Tony
Wait.
Davis.
Tony Davis? I'm not familiar. Who's that?
He's in the Star. He writes fairly long articles, and some people say that they're very detailed, but he's very good, and he's been there for ages. He'll write you I see he's got one about Hudbay in there.
Mhm.
And I would personally like to see us kind of expand to the things that liberals, which we are, like the environment. And Hudbay's been around so long, if we could get an insight into that rather than just I was with my conservative cousin while I was gone. And whenever he'd start an argument, I'd say, look, Van, we only know 10%. There's a 90% we don't know about anything, politics mostly. And so I was just thinking Tony Davis would be very good if he'd be willing to come and give us maybe at least more 70% of what's really going on, rather than some hack staff writer that
So maybe some
only
topical
writes what
ones
he's
more
been
along the
told.
lines of
So
what we would do in the
Tony's
salon
pretty
down
good.
in the
like
lunch
all of
hour.
us.
That's a good idea.
why does it keep?
Well, he might be a good salon person. I would cancel stuff to go hear Tony speak.
Yeah.
Dylan Smith with the Sentinel,
Yeah.
and
Yeah, I talked to
also
Dylan
maybe
yesterday.
Moms Demand Action. Maybe what's her name, Renee Freakin?
Mhm.
Just see how they feel about what may or may not have been passed by that time.
What I'm hearing is journalists, activists, subject matter experts.
Mhm.
Nonprofit, the heads of nonprofits. I'm
Mm.
sorry, I can't, this thing is, all I can see is the Zoom thing.
We can hear you.
I've had people from the various nonprofits that serve Pima County, or NAACP, and also not elected people, but people who serve the government. So I had head of Pima County Health come on.
Now, that was a good one.
I had you could do the head of fire department, Tucson Fire Department. I mean, various
Yeah.
things like that.
Yeah, I've been wanting to have the new police chief of Tucson.
Yeah, okay,
come
so,
on.
Would be
so
nice.
it
Good one for
doesn't have to
post-election.
be, we've always in the past had others besides the candidate, when we're not deep involved in an immediate election.
Yeah.
So those are some of the suggestions and some of the things I did over the 2 years.
All right.
Mike,
Yeah.
Yeah, we had for an Education Association local chapter, we had a very good spokesman for a group called Youth on Their Own.
Yeah.
And
I'm familiar with them.
it's
Yeah.
about when kids are released from grow out of the foster system and just the programs they have. She was really good, and I think she's the spokesperson, and I can get you in touch with her.
Yeah. Excellent. Yeah, those are all great suggestions. Thank you very much. Anybody else want to weigh in on post-election goals for our meetings?
Well, more so for, maybe program for next year, but
Mhm.
could we do a survey of all the folks who are a member of our August association and see what they would like to see?
Great. Yeah. Excellent idea. All right. Yeah, we can line up some of these excellent suggestions and get people to vote on their level of interest on those. I'll suggest that to Larry for the newsletter, probably following the election. Not hearing anything else on post-election goals at this point. Let's move on to new business. The one item that I have on here is the use of the fundraiser profits that was suggested by Steve Early, not Linder. And so does anybody want to, have a discussion about this at this point?
We probably should decide what the profits are before we decide who we're going to give them to. So what are we going to do? How will we consider our profit number?
Yeah, I think Steve laid that out pretty clear that he thinks the profit is more like $400 or $500, not $1,000. So yeah, I think that should probably be our donative amount is the profit from the event.
And yeah, and I think I want to throw into this whole process that Pima County Democratic Party is having the Udall dinner in September.
Mhm.
And generally, what we've done in the past is buy a table.
Mhm.
Mhm.
And so I haven't seen anything other than, reserve the date. I think it's Saturday, September 17th.
Mhm.
And they haven't put out any other information about the cost individually or tables, but I think that can be part of our contribution or whatever is
Yeah.
that we buying the table.
How
Now,
much did that cost in the past?
generally our members, we try to recoup some of that money by then we buy the table, but then we try to sell the individual seats.
Yeah.
Right.
Back, some of us pay for them, but the idea is that's the Democrats of Greater Tucson, that's our table.
Yeah.
So
How much did that cost in the past?
I think it was about 15
Yeah.
for the table, but I haven't seen any numbers yet. So if somebody has any contact with the county party, maybe they can find out what they're thinking.
I assume you mean $1,500, not
Yes, says yes,
$15,000.
1,500. Yeah.
That also not only pays for the table, but for, they do this video thing that they play over and over again, and it gives us, I have to put our logo and things on it, so that people know that we have sponsored.
And also an ad in the program.
An ad, you're right, an ad in the program. So buying the table that we then try to resell, and sometimes we do in discounts so that we may pick up out of the 1,500, DGT may pay for 500 of it and charge 10 people $100 to sit at our table. I mean, we've done various things.
I think it's 75 if you're a PC.
But have they stated that for this year?
Oh, no, I meant in the past.
In the past, yeah. I just don't know what they're thinking. I don't know.
No,
what they're
I have
thinking.
no idea. Mm-mm.
Yeah, I think that's a good suggestion that we use this profit to get a table at the dinner and the Udall dinner and,
I figure that would cover
yeah.
Pima County and what we should be doing and
Mhm.
blah, blah, blah. It would be the best thing to do.
Yeah, that's a great suggestion. Christine, you have your hand up?
So one of the things that that my Steve was talking about was whatever amount of money we give to, if I'm understanding right, we're talking about giving money to the Pima County Democratic Party because they're in need,
Exactly.
right? Okay,
Yes.
and so we were talking about taking our fundraising profits and donating that, and then reaching out to the various Democratic parties and ask them to match it. So we get some camaraderie going between the Marana Democratic, Marana Dems, the Tankerverde Dems, Saddlebrook Dems, the Green Valley Dems. I don't know all those groups, but there's other Democratic groups.
Well, I think when it comes to that, Dina, that they'll probably all be kind of asked to buy tables too.
Yeah.
At that dinner. And I think that's going to be their contributions. So as far as matching, I don't know how many of them are just going to give that money without the dinner contribution. So I think what Pima County is going to probably try to do is get as many of those groups to buy tables.
Right. Which is what they've always done. And we've always used our fundraising money that we used to have from the luncheon. That was always given to, after all our expenses were paid, was our contribution to the party. That's why we were doing it. So this is not something different than we used to do before COVID.
Right.
So this is why I'm a little confused, because Larry put out a plea that the Pima County Democratic Party only had 2 months worth of expenses
Right.
left,
Well,
and that they were looking for donations. And so I get that I get that we can help support the Pima County Party by doing the Udall dinner, but are you saying that we don't need to give an emergency donation and see if we can't get other groups in the valley here to go along with us to help in the money crunch?
if you read the last, I don't know whether you get the LD18 newsletter, but they always include a report from the county party meeting, which is always the first of the things. And the last one I read, Brian Bickle, who happens to be the treasurer for the county party, said that they were paying their bills. They were doing okay. So I don't know how much, I mean, at this point, they really haven't put out anything of desperate.
Desperate plea?
No.
Right. I would hold off on to giving them anything until we hear more about the dinner. I wouldn't give them money besides the dinner at this point
No,
at all.
no, I wouldn't either. I mean,
I would vote against that.
Me too.
yeah.
Okay.
There's
it
not a
doesn't
motion
sound
on the
like a
board. There's not
motion.
a motion on the floor, so I guess we don't have to vote.
No, no.
but I can put a motion up if people want. I mean, my motion would be to buy a table at the Udall dinner once we know what the cost is. I mean, we don't really know what the cost is going to be at this point. But, you know, it could certainly be the sense of the board that that's what we want to do.
I mean, we can put it as a motion, Mike, but I think we all agree that's what we're going to do. But if you want to make it official, that's fine.
Well, or do you want to wait until closer when they actually make the whole announcement about what it is that they're going to charge? And
Yeah, I think that makes sense. We don't even know what they're talking about yet.
Yeah, I would like to table any motion right now. I think it makes, because now I'm hearing two different things from Pima County Democrats. So I need to get to the bottom of that.
Okay. Tabled it is. Does anybody else have new business they want to discuss?
I do.
Yeah, Chris, what do you got?
Okay, so do we want to continue with the promotion on the John C. Scott Show? I believe it's $300 a month. Is that correct? So that was something that you had talked about at the beginning of the meeting and moved it to new business.
Yeah.
Is there a discussion on that?
Well, if you're gonna have a discussion, I have a lot to say.
All right, let's go it.
Okay, number one, I look at it as a financial thing. I mean, the traffic may be good, but you know, the whole idea was, does this $300 turn into memberships? And it's not. It's leveled to the point where we've gotten what we can out of that. And I really think we should take a rest from that for a while and not spend that $300 a month. It served a purpose, but I think we can take a little vacation, especially during the summer months when you know, a lot of people aren't here anyway. So I would say no, at this point. We don't want to continue it at this point.
All right, thanks, Steve. You have something to say, Joe?
Yeah, Steve, how do you crunch the number that we haven't received any memberships from?
Well, I look at what we're getting when I get checks, and I see that it's very low in the number of signups. And I also look at the names and I see, are they new names or old names? And, you know, whereas in January and February, we were getting huge numbers of memberships. We're not getting that. And so I can see where it's leveling to dribs and drabs. I'm putting in checks. You know, a lot of that money that I deposited were not a lot, but a good part of it was people who were paying to see Frank.
You know, like me.
It's $120 of that was for
Right.
Frank.
So you can't, you know, so you have to pull that out. I'm just seeing memberships leveling. It is summer.
I was in favor when Larry floated this idea, and I think Mike knows this, that, you know, let's give it a rest. And I think, you know, giving it a rest till the primary's done. Now, I also think the format we're using, it worked at first, but we're kind of creating an echo chamber in listening to what's going on. We're getting people who want to hear the things that we like to hear.
That's it.
And so I would, if we're going to do it after the primary, I think we got to come up with a whole new format. I think we need to take calls. I don't think we're taking calls now, right? And we're going to have somebody screen the calls. I think we might want to have some of those candidates from the statewide races make an appearance there. But I think we got to give some thought to it.
Okay. Useful introspection. Anybody else have Steve Early? You had your hand up earlier. Did you want to say something? All right. Anybody else have input on this item before we put it up for a motion? All right. So the motion would be that we discontinue advertising spot on the John C. Scott Show after the June 25th spot until the end of summer or the end of after the primary, which would be, I guess, early voting starts July 18th. The actual primary is what, September?
August
2nd.
August 2nd.
So we could revisit the matter in August of starting the program back up and maybe changing the format.
Second
from Joe.
Mhm.
All right. And all in favor of that? Anybody opposed? All right. Motion carries unanimously. All right. Any other new business we want to go over before we adjourn?
Well, how about some feedback for my Virgin experience today doing the
Good.
You did very well. Yes, you sounded very good.
any good or insightful sharing of observations?
I like one of the things that Larry does, which is he often leads off with doing a question of his own, sort of establishes the tone, establishes the precedent that you ask a question, not make a peroration.
Right.
So yeah, I think something like that, you could consider, what question do I want to ask at the beginning of it to kick everything off, and sort of, establish I'm in control. This is my show.
Yeah,
Mhm.
and Nathan, he's really come a long way from the
Yeah.
times I've seen him.
Mhm.
And I
Yeah.
think his focus on specifics was really good. Everybody had a chance to ask a question.
Yeah.
Sure.
And Joe, I would just do like some housekeeping at the beginning, just to remind everybody to mute themselves.
Yeah, you did that for me and I appreciated that. Yeah.
And tell them how to use the raised hand. Larry always does that, reminds them about the down at the bottom.
Yeah.
Raise
use
your
the
hand.
reaction buttons
Oh,
to
yeah,
raise
yeah,
if you want to ask a question live. Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
I thought you did great.
I did too.
You did
Thanks. I'll send you all an autographed photo.
Oh, there you go.
Always. Were we recording in that session?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yes,
So you'll have you'll forward the video to our volunteer to do whatever editing is needed before putting it on the website.
now I think I was a host, so I would get
Yes.
that, right? Yeah.
Yeah,
Right.
it should be, you should have an email waiting for you saying that there's a recording, unless you haven't ended the recording yet, in which case the recording's still going.
The recording is
It
still
was
going.
Still going.
Yeah.
It
All
was
right.
still going.
Yeah, so
Okay.
she'll need to edit out, the board meeting. Nobody's interested in that.
Well,
All right. Hearing no further new business, I move that we adjourn.
A second.
Second.
There's 2 seconds.